So in the second video in this series, where we're looking at how therapists can add additional streams of income that also help them make more impact in the world, we're going to look at the viability of writing a book. But when therapists come to me with the idea to write a book, very often they don't have a lot of realistic expectations when it comes to what writing a book actually does and does not do for them. Sometimes there are expectations like, I'm going to get a publisher and I'll be plucked out of obscurity, and the publisher will make me a best-selling author because my work is just so good. And there was a time in the past when this was the case. If you got a publishing deal, you had at least a 10% chance of being a successful author. The publishers would choose 10 authors, they would expect 8 or 9 to fail, and find one breakaway success that was all their revenue and profit. But all of this was based on the way books were bought at this time. The way books were bought at that time was in bookstores. And so to actually get a book into a bookstore, you would work through a publisher, and in many cases, you'd be plucked from relative obscurity based on the suitability of the book you wrote, the work of your agent, and then the placement of your book in bookstores by the publishers who had the connections to get the books onto the right shelf and the ability to mass produce enough books to meet the demand the bookstores would create. In this time, publishers were the star makers because they had the ability to decide which books were front and center of bookstores, and that's where everyone found them. But in all but 0.01% of cases today, that's just not how it works anymore. Now we have digital self-publishing. Let me illustrate what that's done for the industry. In 2004, so 20 years ago, there were 38,832 books published worldwide. In 2014, which is during the rise of ebooks and Kindles and self-publishing, there were over 300,000 books published. That's a 10 times increase in 1 decade. This year, the final number will be somewhere around 2.2 million books, and the average number of readers per book is less than 1,000. So with this type of growth, the number of sales per book has dropped dramatically. Publishers are no longer the star makers because they never really figured out how to market books beyond positioning them in bookstores. Their way of looking at the book publishing game has therefore changed. Now, instead of picking authors and books and creating celebrities who are very strictly contracted to them, then schmoozing with book reviewers and controlling what inventory the bookstores offer, now they look for authors who have an existing audience. The publisher is making money off the author's audience instead of the author benefiting from the distribution that the publisher and bookstores would make possible for them. It's a total 180-degree flip that's happened. But often therapists don't realize this because most grew up in the generation that still bought books in bookstores. The truth is, there is still opportunity to make more impact and income with a book as a therapist, but you have to understand why you would write and publish a book today and what you have to do with it in order for it to be a worthwhile endeavor. For successful self-help authors today, a book is not your only product or service. It's a part of your marketing. The reason to write a book is to position yourself as an expert in an area of personal development or therapy so you can get opportunities like high-ticket coaching, consulting, speaking, workshops, selling your own products and services, and to some degree online courses as well. What a percentage of your readers buy after finding your book from you is the actual objective that you have with your book in the first place. Your book is a vehicle to sell something else. So with this in mind, let's now look at the advantages and disadvantages of using a book in order to help you expand your income. On the plus side, a book helps you brand yourself as the expert or one of the most foremost experts in your niche, which should be a particular niche where people need help. For this reason, your book must be written so it actually achieves that. Writing an autobiography usually doesn't. Featuring yourself in your own journey usually doesn't do that. You have to write a book that teaches. But if you do that right, it will position you as that authority. Therefore, if you are a recognized expert in your niche because you literally wrote the book on it, you can use it to command higher rates when you help people in the niche that your book is written in. 3, it opens doors to speaking, teaching, and getting a message out to a wider audience. Again, if you're only actually making money while you do that. And 4, people who have read your book are much more likely to work with you rather than someone else, because if they finish your book and take the next step to talk to you, you've obviously struck a chord with them. But on the negative side, 1, it takes investment to write a book like this. You need to work with a specialized book coach who understands the objective you have with your book. If you do, you can write your book in about 30 days. If you don't, if you just kind of make up your own process to write, I guarantee you it's going to be months of torturous work as you try to create some brand new writing process and reinvent the wheel. So if you're really going to create a book, plan on having someone guide you through the process so you don't waste months or years getting it wrong and end up with a pretty good book first time out of the gate. DM me if you want a recommendation for a good book coach. I know of one who completely gets this model and will make sure your book is written for it. Number 2, revenue from sales of your book might only pay for a few coffees a week. Don't expect it to do more than that. So when you write a book, again, you're writing it to help you be more successful with your other services or products. Therefore, it is a more work-intensive marketing strategy than many of the marketing strategies I teach my clients when they're promoting their coaching or consulting. And you need to have the product or service you're going to sell on the back of your book ready to go before it's worth your time to start writing the book. Again, most therapists do this backwards and focus on the book first and then worry about how to make money later. This is a mistake and it wastes a lot of time. And disadvantage number 3, it's necessary to have a plan to continuously promote your book. This is not just about writing and sticking it up on Amazon. If you're not taking a set of actions every week to promote your book, sales will stop almost immediately. A lot of people write a book and then they think that just listing it on Amazon and doing a couple of social posts will somehow make that book go viral and be read by lots of people. It won't. To stand out among the 2.2 other million books that are being published this year, you have to be doing the marketing that it takes to put your book in front of your niche or audience constantly. So that's the deal. Writing a book can be a powerful tool to bring you clients, to help more people, and for you to make more money. But only if you're using that book to connect people in your niche with the other services that you offer. Do it for that reason. Put a strategy around your book for that purpose, and you can use it as a tool to make money. Do it in the hopes that somehow you'll be spotted and get a publishing deal, and that's going to somehow make you a huge star. And unfortunately, all that's going to happen is every publishing industry scammer will come out of the woodwork and sell you down the river. Be discerning, have the right goal in mind, and then you can be successful. Okay, that's my wisdom on book publishing as a mental health professional. In the next video in this series, we're going to talk about consulting services.